And we're live. Hey,
Hey,
hey, fantastic.
just through the posts down there. What am I looking at?
Fantastic to be back in the stream. There's no music today. We couldn't afford the license anymore. And no, it's something with audio channels. And I don't know, it would have probably taken me another hour before I figured out what was going on. Also, let me know if the audio levels are alright, because normally Sander does this and his setup isn't the same as my setup, but I think it's pretty decent. So, hey Carl, how are you doing? Are you surfing today?
Yeah, no. It looks really cool in the background. You would think Calder has now converted to beach life and enjoying his life,
Yeah.
the beach side. But unfortunately, that's not my surfboard, and I cannot surf at all. I've done it a couple of times, but I completely suck. So
Oh well.
no.
You should try it, right?
I've tried it a couple times, and it's a lot of fun, but it does require a lot of time to get your balance and to get the trick, let's say. And it's not like you just, and then it's all, once you do get it, it's kind of, I think it's very addictive, and then you're really looking for that one feeling, and you're spending like 2 hours to get that feeling like once or twice. Yeah. So I can understand the appeal. But
Good. I'm trying to set up a scene, but for some reason Streamlabs is so slow. Maybe it's my computer though. Oh well, doesn't matter. Anyway, good to be here. Another Friday, another live stream. Nothing happened this week apparently, because we had no ATG update. Everybody's still on holiday and vacation.
yeah, and I think I haven't been on the live stream now for a few months now. Or
Is
is
it?
it just a
No.
month? I don't remember the last time.
No, you have one
It
with
feels like
Jeroen, right?
ages strange.
No, you have one with Jeroen.
Is that so?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I did one with you, yeah. Oh, that was
Yeah,
before the last one then.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, true. Okay. It feels like forever though.
No.
But yeah, happy to be back. It's late time here. I am going to do my best to not leak anything this time.
Impossible.
And today we have. We need to do a summary also for the update. What did we do again? Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, we have to be fast with this, Erik.
Okay.
We can't be slowing this down. Yeah. So, hey, welcome to the live stream. Yeah. So, for people watching on YouTube, watching this live stream back, we're just going to give you a brief summary update thing and then get into the live stream itself. I think that was the way we did it last time. So then you don't need to watch through an hour of talking.
You were the only one.
The highlights.
You're the only one doing this, right? Nobody else.
Yeah, that's true. In the past, we did 10-minute updates and then we cut it out and uploaded it. Now it's already now I kind of want to bring it back for the first 10 minutes. So let's do some highlights here. That would be great for people that missed out on the stream. So we actually, for the topics for today, there's not that many like update highlight topics. We're actually just going to talk about two things and then kind of freeball what the questions are. The reason, because we are ill-prepared to do a very brief 10-minute summary during the live stream. That's the honest truth. Yeah. So let me give you the 10-minute. Let's give you the update. We recently released the update video for the ATHE talking about true AK polling. There's been a lot of comments on the video. Great questions also in there. We've been looking at, and I think it's good if we give a couple of clarifications, like straight off the bat. And in the future, we're going to make a video to answer a whole plethora of questions surrounding the ATHE, kind of like a FAQ, a video, which will answer all the questions we've seen coming by and add some clarification there. So first, briefly about the 8K true 8K polling is it's not available on the 6HE. It's not possible for us to unlock it on the 6HE. That would have been really great if that was possible.
It's a paid DLC down the line.
Yeah, but to do the 8K polling on the 60 requires a completely different MCU. And that's also when I was talking in video about the developments over the last, well, at least half year. This has been about having a different MCU that supports 8K polling, but we made it extra challenging for ourselves because we didn't go for the MCU we're using is not as common as other MCUs. And we need to use, it also needs to add a USB transceiver. And since we're new with the 8K high-speed polling at the time, we went deep, like real deep. And we finally got to a point where we were at a satisfactory level for 8K polling. And well, anyway, that setup for 8K polling on the PCB requires a lot of space. The MCU has a much larger footprint, and then it also needs a bunch of traces and a USB transceiver thing, which requires even more space. That space doesn't exist on the 6HE. It's also, and that's why I can tell you right now, it's also the reason why we can't just upgrade the 6HE of 8K polling out of nowhere. Like I wish, because then it would be just like copy pasting, but it's literally a space problem. There's no space on the PCB to fit this in. What was okay? So then some other misconceptions about 8K. You have a couple?
Yeah, definitely. Is it gonna slow my PC down?
Oh right, yeah. So that's a good one. So how a keyboard does 8K polling versus how a mouse does 8K polling. The polling part is the same, but the data that's actually communicated and used is completely different. A keyboard basically only has an on or off state, while the mouse gives the computer updated XY axis positions continuously, and it needs to process exactly this part on your screen, and that's what causes a heavy load. Or, I mean, I'm not that deep into mouse 8K polling, but with something about the motherboards and CPU and combination of hardware, what does and what doesn't work, and more importantly, does the game support it, right? Does the game allow you to refresh your inputs that frequently? Well, the answer for 8K polling very often is no. But with a keyboard, however, it's a bit different, because with a keyboard, you don't need to update a constant new value, and that new value needs to be constantly updated on a computer side. What happens instead is there's an on state, there's an off state. So the computer is just going to check, are you in the on state or in the off state, and then process one of those two states. And that has a far fewer toll on your computer than it would be for a mouse. So the answer is no, there's not going to be a heavy toll on your computer.
I also think if you just have a moderate modern gaming PC or PC in general, then you wouldn't even notice a performance dip at all.
Yeah. I think there's already a good a comment here in the chat. With analog keyboards, it's not only on-off on keyboard cell, and that's a very good observation. However, the analog part only happens on the keyboard. On the computer side, it's still reading the data we give it, and that's either an on or off state. So on the computer, nothing happens with the analog data. There's no analog data sent to the computer. The computer only receives an on or off state. All that magic happens all on the keyboard itself. And with the 8K polling on the keyboard itself, that's the whole point of having the MCU. It's the whole point of optimizing the firmware, and why also the whole point why we say true 8K polling, because to do that actually within 8K, being able to send a new report, that is the challenge. Not to have an MCU in there that supports 8K polling, boo fucking who, just buy it off the shelf, doesn't mean it actually supports true 8K polling. I think the only note to be made there, and this is something we haven't tested, we do have an analog SDK, but I don't think the analog SDK supports even any kind of 8K polling or something. I think it only updates every 1K, every 1 millisecond, so 1K polling. Yeah.
Yeah. And
What
and
are
and, and I'm also showing another well, I wouldn't call this a misconception, but 8K on a keyboard is useless.
All right. Well, I have to be honest about this. The truth is that no, hold on, no, Erik. The truth is, in practice, you're not going to notice the difference between having 8K versus 1K. That's just the truth of it. And otherwise, that's the truth for the majority of people. Some people claim they do. I think it will probably be a placebo. Most likely, you don't. Who knows, however, there is that one situation where it just made the difference. You never know, because in theory, or, well, I mean, I just said in practice, so I have to say in theory. But in theory, it actually does update faster. And when you look at polling, you need to think about when you have 1K polling, it's not that it means that you press a button, then 1 millisecond later it arrives, or well, the latency in total, the whole chain of latency is much longer and bigger, and much more on the PC side than on the keyboard side. But it's just limited to the keyboard side. When you press a key, it's not as simple as saying, well, from that point, 1 millisecond, right? It's about within every time that the keyboard checks the key, did you press the key right before it checks, or did you press it right after it checks? Now let's imagine it checked, then you pressed, and now there's this whole gap that needs to wait until the next time it checks. And that gap has been reduced significantly.
Yeah.
So that is where you save most of the time or most of the latency when it comes to 8K polling. Yeah.
It's
so
I quite like your description. I think yours is even better than what I do. I always say it's like a train, right? It's like a train with 1,000 cards going to the computer every second. But now the train is like 8 times as fast, 8 times more slots in the train. So there are 8 times more the opportunity to send a signal to your computer. And that's what gives you the performance boost. And I do think it is quite significant. And I think you will probably notice it if you used your keyboard for typing for quite a while and gaming on 8K polling. And then after a month or so, you go back to a normal gaming keyboard. I will definitely bet you'll feel big difference, and it will feel like a performance dip, right? And I think it's the same with like refresh rates. Like some monitors have like 165 hertz refresh rate, which is nice, and you're sort of getting in a diminishing returns, right? If you hit the 240 or the 480, and this is also where we're getting in, but it is, a little bit performance increase, and your average gamer won't notice it constantly, but I think if you're pushing the top of peak gaming, then every bit of performance you can squeeze out of your equipment, that's something what you want, right?
Yeah. Actually, I even forgot to mention here that the true part, right? I didn't even mention the true part here. What I just explained is assuming that when the poll happens and you press the key after the poll, that amount of time your keyboard needs to actually do something with that data, right? That would then need to be shorter or fast enough to be picked up with the next poll. Now, the 6HE, for example, we can consistently hit that 1 millisecond poll. And now and with 8HE, we can also do it every 0.125 milliseconds, consistently hit it. And it's that but when you don't hit it, and that's the benefit of 8K, regardless of what happens, that next moment is much shorter and will come in much faster. So you can't say that total latency added by 1K polling is just 1 millisecond. I think you have to say then, I forgot what the thing was again. But anyway, depending on how long it takes us to process the thing, you need to take that into account, and then you get to some kind of average. So it's always more than a millisecond at that point. Something like that. This is the part I'm a little bit lost from it.
No, so we are probably butchering like all this performance stuff, but I think we're getting close. This is an interesting question. Just want to, because we're now on the topic of performance, right? Why 80 HE instead of 75 HE? 80 HE is 5 better than 75 HE, and if you're talking about
higher
performance and
number.
squeezing more out, higher number, better. That's why we went for the 80 HE.
I do have there I see another one, just to continue on the update part, and then we can go a bit more in the 8K and the finer details and questions. But another one that was good, another comment here was the question of, if I don't want 8K polling, can I change it? And the answer is yes. You can just change it to 1K polling. I don't know yet, because we have not discussed internally if we will also allow to do 4K polling or something. So that might be a question, but then you could just assume that the standard is that, okay, 1K polling, and then optionally you can turn on 8K polling.
I think that this is also an interesting comment about tachyon mode, right? And tachyon mode was, I think, specifically made for the... I don't know if tachyon mode will still be applicable for the 8HE. I don't know if we've surpassed the point, because I think for the Ubu, for example, tachyon mode doesn't make a difference, because you're always hitting that maximum polling rate and the maximum scanning speed because of the smaller device.
Yeah, only needs to check 3 keys. Yeah.
And with the 6HE, you know, sure, we have tachyon mode, but we disable what tachyon mode actually does. You know, it focuses on scanning, and it disables like your RGB effects, so there's less processing on the keyboard. But I don't know if the keyboards now, for example, the 8HE has become so powerful with this new chip and everything, that maybe we can, you know, run your RGB effects and still hit like that 8K polling or that 0.125 milliseconds. I don't know. We need to investigate.
Yeah,
so
with RGB effects, I'm also not sure, but I can tell you something else about 8K polling though.
Okay.
After the update.
After the update, okay. For now, let's say tachyon mode is also with an 8HE, but it's possible that it's non-8HE because it's not needed. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Then the last bit of the update is that starting next week, we're going to... Do you have it with you, Erik? We have 2 new colors for the wrist vest and also for the LMAs. And that's a white color and a pink color. And I have supposedly...
I have them both here.
Ooh, okay, good.
A nice white one.
Yeah, so we've been showing that now and then. But next week, they'll actually be available for purchase. That's the white and the pink one.
Oh, the pink one smells like strawberries. I like it. Now it's a very nice sakura pink, as you can see in the stream. Oh, the lightning is a little bit too harsh. And then we have a nice white one, which is finally. This has been, I think we picked this color like over a year ago, and we're just like waiting. Oh, let's go in production. When do we have the time for this? We now have it.
Yes, and then we were like, okay, we also need to. Products have a pink and a white one, like the LMAs.
Oh, you're already showing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so here's a pink LMAs. Yeah. I don't have the white one somewhere. You have better colors than I do. I've just thrown it on whatever.
Let's see if the wrist dress can match a little bit with the. So who likes the pink one? What is your favorite? Is like the pink one or the white one?
And yeah. See, and the wrist vest matches. Yeah, very nice. Yeah. So we've been making sure that we match our colors as much as possible over the different materials. And we thought it would be nice to finally try to, because it was was also the feedback, to try to synchronize our colors a bit more along the different products. And one of the obvious ones is white, of course. And then we also wanted to try to do pink. And if you know from the cables, we have a blue, for example, which is matching the LMA, so that's okay. But the coil cables are also going to get a white and a pink version.
Hey.
Those are in production right now.
So just for reference, here is like a concrete gray and a white one next to each other. You can actually see like it's a nice difference. Nice.
Yeah, and just to be clear also about the coating, to get this pink and to get this white, we had to paint it. So it is a painted coating. So
that's why it smells like strawberries.
No, it doesn't. So it's not anodized, it is painted. So that might influence your decision making if you do or do not want it. But that was the only way we could actually get accurate coloring for the pink that we wanted, and for white, you cannot anodize white. It's not possible. It's not possible. Yeah. And we, oh yeah, right, you have the E-white stuff, but that's a different process. We could have actually considered this. I am actually not sure why we didn't make a sample of it, to be honest. Now that I think of it, I don't know. Yes, it is printed.
It's printed. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I saw another thing, and this is maybe also interesting to mention in this update. Somebody asked like, hey, what's the difference between the 60HE and the 60HE Plus? There is a video on a YouTube channel somewhere, the last video. Someone explains what the difference is, and the difference is actually pretty minor. The 60HE Plus supports screw-in stabilizers, and that's the big difference. Now it doesn't really matter because there aren't any normal 6HEs available. Looking at Calder, are there? I don't think so, right? They're all sold out.
6HE, I think.
It's only 6HE Plus now.
No, I think 6HE is still available in EU, no? Is it not?
No, I don't think it's... Mark, help us. Do we still have normal 6HEs, or is it only 6HE Plus? I think it's only 6HE Plus, to be honest. Yeah, we sold too many Calder.
Really? Did it go that fast?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, we must have some left. I can't believe that it's completely gone.
I just ordered my 6E Plus. It's coming on Monday. Damn, whoa, we sort of
Yeah,
have stock.
nice.
Nice.
Yeah, yes. We have stock, by the way. Oh my gosh, have we been celebrating this yet?
Oh, yeah, we have stock. Oh, let's go.
No, wait. In the EU, it says here, expected at the warehouse 27 February, back order, Wooting 6HE. But the module's in stock, so does that count?
Okay. Yeah, Mark says only 6HE Plus available. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I know. 6HE Plus, but it's going to ship soon, and then it's going to be in stock for a while, I think.
Yeah.
We should have a good amount. So we pumped that production, and now that Lunar New Year is over, we can make sure that we will have stock throughout the year. I want to say.
Don't tell your friends that we have stock. Keep it a secret so we can enjoy that we have stock a little bit, and we can prepare a newsletter that we have stock, right? Except for the last few times, like, oh, let's make a newsletter, we have stock, and then, oh no, too bad, it's already gone by. So, shh, don't talk about it.
Yeah, we should. Well, I don't want to celebrate too soon because last time, this is true. This was last year, and we had a similar situation. It was like, yeah, Lunar New Year's over, or extra productions are finishing, shipping coming out, and we're gonna have stock. And 1 week it was over, and we couldn't get it back in stock again.
Boom. Well, no, we did have stock somewhere in August or September, I think, in US for like.
Oh, right, that was also very short-lived, but then we didn't hype it up.
No.
Yeah. So, okay, that was the part of the quick 10-minute update. So we're now gonna start doing more.
Let's go into questions.
Like go deeper into the questions. Yeah.
We can do 3 questions rapid fire, Calder. Rapid fire
questions.
Okay. So questions you need to answer within 10 seconds. Why are your keyboards so expensive?
I have to answer it in 10 seconds.
Yeah,
we
need to earn money, right? We're Dutch people and we love money, so
no,
we're just gonna ask a premium.
Okay,
here.
I'm going to give the short answer is, the short answer is software, service. Those are the two. I think those are the two underlining parts that make a big difference already. If I give you the longer answer, and I have to say with the service part, yes, even though right now we are still trying to get to a better level with tickets, I do believe that if you look at the volume of tickets that we get and amount of service that we provide, even though it's slow, is vastly better than any other keyboard company out there that would be in a similar situation. That's what I think. It might not be true, but we don't work for resellers, right? We're doing everything direct. So all our service and support is also coming direct. All the warranty technical issues, we deal with it direct. And we're always there to help out and make sure you have a working keyboard and we don't leave you hanging. And that's the part, we have the 4-year warranty. We abide to the warranty. Just don't smash your keyboard with a hammer or use a case that has a standoff in a really weird position, force your PCB into it so the standoff damages your PCB. But even then, if that happens, We have a replacement PCBA, but that doesn't fall under warranty, but we do offer it to you as an option. Okay. So you want
Longevity,
to
that's
hear
a
the
nice
longer
word.
story?
No,
Yeah.
that was already a long story. That was in 10 seconds.
Okay.
Like, we have like an amazing product. It's longevity, and I think our margins are pretty fair. And I think if you even look at, competitors and pricing, we're actually priced pretty fairish. Sure, we can't, beat some companies. But like Mark always mentions, and I love this, we're not going to win the race to the bottom. That's not for us.
That's right. And you should keep in mind right now is that if you're going to do price comparisons, you should do price comparisons with big box brands. They don't even offer any keyword like we do. They charge a shit ton more. You can just not start comparing it with any of the whole effect keyboards that have been coming out over the last year from China, vendors specifically, because this is just how it works in any industry. They'll come out with a template, a cookie cutter product, and then they'll just dress it up differently 1,000 times over. But under the underlying thing is still all the same. And then you're not even sure if that company, I'm not saying that all of them are total, that like everybody else total shit or something, but it's just the majority of them, you should, what is it? Oh yeah, and then you still need to deal with the fact that what does the company do when something is broken? So I think you have, for example, vendors from China that will ship a keyboard, but if you go actually to their shipping policies, and you should do that, they'll tell you you can't return the keyboard. Cannot return the keyboard. And if you do want to return the keyboard, after paying VAT and import taxes, especially in Europe, they're not going to refund you those import taxes and duties. And they're not going to pay for your shipping back to them. And they're not going to offer you some kind of replacement part just like that in a lot of cases. So something you have to also keep in mind.
Okay, another question, another rapid fire question. Will the 8HE sound better acoustic wise? Let's compare it to the 6HE, right?
Yeah, this is actually, we've been trying to really work on the 8HE sound, and I've been trying to work on it, and I'm really, it's kind of like need to find what are we trying to achieve with the sound, because we've opted and we've went into a certain direction. We're using PC plate, silicone filler. Now underneath the PCB, there is now a PET film, because I noticed it does help increase a bit of the, I don't want to use this marble sound, but it's not exactly a marble sound. I don't know how to. I think it increases the midtones, is if I have to describe it correctly. But it does make a real difference. It does. We have either an EPDM bottom foam or latex. We're still debating which one of the two we're going to use, but sound-wise, it doesn't make any difference if we use the one or the other. We're just taking a look what would environmentally be better. And in addition, with latex, we can do colors. With EPDM, you kind of have to stick with black. The whole keyboard sound profile ends up being a lot more silent, muted in a way. I would call it a bit lower toned, lower frequency, killed a lot of the high pitches. This one is empty now. Can you say something?
Bye.
Yeah, okay. And it's a bit more on the silent side. So I've been trying to now also opt and see, can we actually make the keyboard slightly more silent in general when it comes to the sound signature. And I should also add here is that a big part of the sound is also the case. And when you work with, so we have a gasket design, and it does improve the sound a lot. And it sounds different than the 60 for sure. But it's a different sound than the 60. And I can't say better than the other. It's just a different sound profile. And I've just trying to hone into the sound profile of the AT and try to make it as good as I can. And I personally, and I have to say it this way because this is a very debatable, like what is nice, right? I personally like the sound better than the 60. But in my opinion, for example, is also that the 6HE in a plastic case with a steel plate, which it's the assembled stock version, sounds great. And it doesn't really even need an aluminum case. That in itself sounds great. That is also my opinion. So
I think it's difficult, to pinpoint exactly if we improve the sound. I think that's also not the explanation we want to go for, right? I think we enrich the sound, and what we're going for is taking the sharp edges off. If you compare it to the 60HE, just lowering, especially the high pitch tones. I think we've lowered that quite tremendously. We've muted down the midtones a little bit, and we didn't add anything to the deep tones, let's say. So I wouldn't say that this keyboard is very pocky, but it is definitely in my opinion, a richer sound experience. But it is mostly to do, I think, also with the case, right? Because it's now 2 parts and compared to the 60. Yeah.
It's funny because there's actually quite a lot of science behind keyboard sound, and I've over time learned more about sound than I ever cared that I thought I would need to know. And I am still by far not an expert, and it's always a journey to find out what kind of sound the keyboard's going to make. I also found that you have a lot of these Infusus keyboards that look great. In theory and how it's put together, you would think it should sound great, but it's mediocre, not something standing out. And just by using certain words and certain like interesting ways of putting the thing together, it might feel like that might be the ultimate sounding keyboard. But if you really, really hone into sound, you need to build a completely different keyboard, I think. And the result of that might be completely different than what you would have imagined. Maybe it's not even aesthetically pleasing. I don't know. But you can definitely make a keyboard around sound alone. And that would actually be a very interesting project to do, by the way. And I have this idea for it that I'm going to... Okay, anyway, that would be, completely...
Sound is like design, right? It's beauty in the eyes of the beholder. Some people like it rough, other people like it muted, right? It's and I do think that the 8HE leaves room for, I wouldn't say improvement, but modification, right? So if you like a certain sound profile, that's definitely something you can chase with the 8HE.
But I think when it comes to both the 60 and the 8HE right now, if you're looking to change nuances of the sound, right, then we're talking about modding the plate, modding the fillers in between, right? But if you're talking about significant changes to the sound, the first thing you can do is let's lubricate the switches. That's number one. And the second best thing you can do is change the switches. And the third best thing you can do is change the keycaps. Those are like three very, for the 60 and the 80 in this case, right? Those are three very more influential things when it comes to sound than doing any other mod on the 60HE or the 80HE. Those are the few things that would have more impact because we already covered all the other parts. And there's not much more you can do there to influence it much further unless there's something you don't like and you take it out, for example. And the switches, that's maybe also good to know. We are shifting to the V2 versions. We have Lecker V2 versions going into the 8HE, and those have a tighter tolerance than the V1. And those, they also rattle then less on the return. They sound tighter. And we have gone through another round of how much are we going to lubricate. And I hate to say it, we've more. It feels more. Like every time it's like we have even more.
What's the next?
More is not always better, okay?
double it. It's yeah. I think they're now in a pretty good position, at least how I've experienced it. I'm seeing a lot of questions about also cost of the 8HE. That's something we won't share just yet. We are going to share it before the campaign launches, let's say 2 weeks in advance or like a week in advance before the campaign launches. Sorry. The thing is, we don't know exactly when we want to launch the campaign. We have like a date in our heads, what we're working towards. But the thing is, even though, marketing wise and whatever, it's all ready, it's just a few more things, that we need to double confirm before we're going to announce, like, hey, you can expect these dates delivery and this thing and that, because we are now currently rapidly changing and making changes to the ATHE, right? To the cases, to the molds, and all these things have impacts. And what we don't want to do is, launch the campaign and say like, hey, we're going to launch somewhere here, and then a month later change it again. And whenever we're going to launch the campaign, it won't influence the delivery date. What we now have in mind, I think the delivery date will stay where it is. So the longer we wait, the closer it will be between delivering the product. But anyway, coming back, we won't share anything about pricing at this point.
But I think everybody's able to make an educated guess for pricing. But we can just not make the promise. No. No. But you can make a good educated guess. I think in the Discord, I've seen some prices come by that I think is a good guess.
The higher, the better.
About the launch date, I can give a little bit more insight about a few things that we're working on. Like in general, the ATHE, we were already planning to launch it. Also according to original plan, we would either be in, I think we would have like our first trial production around this time, or we would have had at least a DVT. Then we'd be full on production no later than April, let's say. But originally that would have been in March. But because of everything, all the controversy back in January about the ATHE, and now changing our approach to the further development of the ATHE, it's also created a scenario where we're now extra critical on different things, and it gives us some space to make also further improvements. So I can tell you one thing that's not too leakish. So the ATHE has screw-in stabilizers, right? Yeah. ATHE comes with screw-in stabilizers, right? But we know from the 60 that a lot of people, they would still change their screw-in stabilizer to a different brand. And one of them is, for example, TXAP. I think I forgot the name of it again. Clip-mounted. That is a clip-mounted stabilizer. But the external housing of that stabilizer is slightly too large for our switch plate, causing it to clamp onto the stem of the stabilizer. And then when you press the spacebar will get a bit stuck. We can't particularly change that on the 60 because the 60 requires us to also install plate-mounted stabilizers. So we need that tolerance there. Otherwise, you get really rattly, shitty stabilizers. But we can do it on the ATHE because it's going to be already delivered in all cases with screw-in stabilizers. So we're adjusting the switch plate mold again to make sure that it's compatible with any screw-in stabilizer that you might choose.
And we're ditching all plate-mounted stabilizers along the way for the ATHE.
So plate-mount, that's right. Yeah. So you can't use plate-mounted stabilizers with the ATHE anymore.
Okay, now no more questions for Calder because he's starting to get on a leaking speed, right? He's overflowing. It's like
no, this is not
little things spinning out, and they're like things on the back of his tongue. It's like, oh, maybe I should share this. And before you know it, it's yeah. Oh, and this is I also saw like a little concern, like, oh, I just bought a 6HE Plus last month, and now the 8K is coming to the 8HE. I feel like screwed over. Is it coming to the 6HE? No, it's not going to the 6HE, like Calder mentioned earlier, and I think Mark also pointed out in the chat. It's a hardware difference. The 6HE is just not compatible for 8K polling.
Maybe it's good to know is that when we're on the little bit of the topic of the switch plates, the PC plate for the 6HE, the ISO version is you can install it on a 6HE none plus one. It just cannot install one of the standoffs. So if you have any problem with a key around that standoff, then that is most likely the case. From our testing, it doesn't really cause any problem. But when with analog keyboards, you can test 10 keyboards, there's no problem. But when you test 1,000 keyboards, there's definitely going to be somewhere a problem, probably. So that's why, yeah, we can't test that skill for that product. So there's a disclaimer there as well on the webpage that if you do use the ISO PC for 6-stage, so the none plus one, then that needs to be taken into account. Okay.
So this was interesting. Will ISO POM PC plate be a thing for the Wooting 6-stage non plus?
I just answered that question, but it's okay.
Did I? No. Okay, never mind then. I thought you were talking about something else. Okay.
All right.
That's like me. I can do two things at the same time, right? I can't read and think and listen at the same time. Skill issue. Okay, exciting. Can we talk about wrist rest? I don't know. The color of wrist rest. I'm quite excited for this. I think if you also have our white PBT keycaps, this is a very nice color match to those keycaps as well. It's a very bright white, I would say, not bluish, not yellowish. It's a very pristine white. Is that a good, how you would say it?
Yeah. I have to say, by the way, if you don't know this, there is no white. Okay, there is shades of white.
Okay, Calder.
White doesn't exist. Okay, there are only shades of white.
No,
white is a very deceiving color.
It's just how light reflects on it, right, and the impact of it. But there's definitely something.
No, you can literally have a white that has lots of yellow inside, but when you look at it, you don't see any yellow. You think, oh, that's white. Then I swear to you, I can grab another color white, put it right next to it, and suddenly that white looks so yellow. You're like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Yeah, but then you're calling it eggshell, right?
And then you call it eggshell white. That's right. Yeah.
No, well, this is a very pristine white, and I don't know if you could find a more white or white than this white. It's pretty white. It's like this is the same white they use in toothpaste commercials.
I guess it becomes hospital white.
Mark leaked something. I don't know if we talked about this, but Mark leaked something very early in the stream. Okay, bye, Calder. It was fun. Mark
camera gave up
about QR code. Please scan it for more information. Somebody help Calder.
Okay.
How? What can we share, Calder, about heavier springs? Did we touch upon this? Should be available soon. Are they? Not? I don't know. Did we ever mention?
Oh, right, the springs. We wow. Gosh, I think the production should be done soon. Oh my god.
Can I show something? Because I have something here. This is then leaking, right?
Can show it because they're going to be available soon.
Okay, and this is not leaking.
Well, no. Well, I mean, no. What's the magnitude of the leak? This is like a drip, like barely a drip.
So at some point, Calder will get his camera back, and in the meantime, I can show this. These are little, like spring packs. Whoa, cute! Damn, nice and sealed. This one is fresh. I just received a nice box of samples that I still need to check packaging wise, and I think we're waiting for me to check it, and then we can say like, hey, production is a go. But talking about springs, yes, we are offering heavier springs and also a little bit lighter springs. So the spring packs, we will have 6 different versions of these with L35 switches. So the end force is 35. It goes from 20 to 35. These are extremely light switches or light springs. We also have a pack for the L45s and L60 springs. Those are already in our switches. Then we have a heavier one called L70. These are 50 grams by 70 gram end force. Then we have L80, which is even heavier. This one goes from 60 to 80. And then we have the big boy, big or heavy. Like if you really want to get the finger weights going, then you need to get the L100s spring packs, and that's 80 to 100 gram force. How do I all know all these numbers out of my head? Am I a genius? No, it's in the back of the spring packs. It says it here. Different options available. Must be true, right? So it's cute. It's like a nice spring pack. As you can see, nice colors, very vibrant. This is let's just kind of focus on packaging here, right? This is debossed lacquer, so you can feel with your finger over it. You can feel like, oh, lacquer. It's like, oh, feels so lacquer. Then we have like a nice UV coated spring on the front. Little logo here.
We're still talking about springs, yes.
We're still talking about springs and the packaging, right? So these are like cute packages. And we went like back and forth with spring packs. So we had them, used to have them in these plastic zippy bags, not really convenient, not very useful. And then we wanted to have like a plastic assortment tray, but that was also horrible. Then we had another way over the top packaging idea, like, hey, let's do it like the candies, right? Where you have like a thing that you can open, another thing happens, it's nice in like a little candy box, but that was quite difficult to get it closed and everything. And now we've landed on this, and maybe you can recognize this if you're a poker player, but this actually is pretty closely resembled to a deck of playing cards from a certain brand. And it's very nice how they do it. And inside are all these little springs, like one big mumbo jumbo of springs. So the thing is, what we wanted to do was like, okay, how can I make sure that the springs don't clamp in each other that violently? And with the plastic zippy bag, they would like squish more together. Here they have a little bit more space, and yeah, sure, they tangle, but they don't tangle as extreme as with the previous packaging. So 6 different weights available soon. Collect them all. If you really want to see new spring weights and everybody buys like L100 spring packs, then we're definitely going to make a L100 switch at some point if the demand is for this. But this is like for us to offer different weights, and you can use them for any I guess for most mechanical switch, but these are then made for, especially for Hall effect switches, because the springs are non-magnetic, which we do need to double check, because with the first spring pack that we ever made, that was a mistake we've made.
Oh, pop a switch, Erik. Quickly. Do the magnet test.
Do the magnet test, yes.
I have a magnet here. Huh?
Yeah, I have my tools. Nearby. I'll do it. But anyway, this is a very nice and more. It is good, right? Because if you just have a switch open, you can open your switch, change the springs, and you have a whole different feeling for your keyboard. If you don't like lubing like Jeroen, then swapping springs is horrible. Trust me, you don't want to do that. But if you like modding your keyboard and making everything your own feeling wise, then this is a very cool new mod thing you can do. And definitely, then just not only compatible for lacquer switches. I don't know if they're compatible for different switches as well.
No magnet. Magnet does nothing.
Magnet does nothing? Oh, good. Oh, nice. Damn.
All right.
Okay. Oh, here's the old spring pack. So as you can see, this one is just a zippy bag, which looks pretty nice, and I still quite like it. But because it's like slimmer and more, like pinched together, you can see that these tangle a little bit more, and it's a little bit more difficult to get them apart. And so they really tangle up in each other more than with these new boxes.
Maybe. Yeah. If we're talking the spring packs, I believe I confirmed for production, but I might be wrong. But I think I did. So.
I think I still need to check the packaging, but I think at least what I've seen, I quite like it. And these are like all the packs together, and they make a nice sound.
Yeah. It's embarrassing though that it took us like. We took off the old switch pack and was like, oh, we're going to replace it with new switch packs with more weights and everything. Especially since we had the L45 available, and that was the original switch pack was a weight very close to that. And yeah, it just took a while to figure out exactly how and what type of switch, what kind of springs we wanted to offer, and to get to packaging that was. Even though it's very simple, but just better than before.
We tried to over-engineer something which didn't need over engineering.
Yeah.
That's I think where
It's just this typical thing we just go, or at least from my side, I just go over something 1,000 times, but doesn't mean that it becomes 1,000 times better or something. Just more thought out.
No, but I think trying this out, treading the waters here, experimenting. That's what makes us better as a company, because you then explore a certain direction, which isn't feasible or didn't work in the end, and you learn something from it. And we know in the future we're not going to do it anymore, right? That's why we're not having like nice sick. I mean, how many different switch boxes did we have over the years? Like way too many, and I think we now landed on something nicer. And I mean, this is always something, right? But I think it's also because there are multiple projects going on, and sometimes it's like, okay, the spring packs now have to wait a month before we get like samples, and then the designers are on a different project which takes up all their space, and then this just gets pushed back because there isn't a high priority, right? It's not that we get like daily messages like, hey, bring the spring packs back or something, and seeing that what our bread and butter is, right, which is the keyboard company making keyboards. So what we always try to do is like, hey, let's push keyboards forward, right? And let's make sure that all our attention is on these bigger keyboard projects, whether it's the 6HE, the 8HE, and 6HE Plus, and all these, these improvements. But slowly along the way, we get there, right? I mean, these colors, I mean, the pink wrist dress and the white wrist dress, we could have started selling them like last year in August, I think, like half a year sooner if we really wanted to. It's just,
I know, yeah. It's funny, actually. I talked with product development today, and we were talking a bit about, we have more people on the team right now, but are things actually moving faster? And the simple answer is just no. And we're like figuring out like, why are things not moving faster when you have more people? Just phrasing the question that simple, right? And the answer here was actually not so much about, well, the answer to the question is very simple. It's because we don't copy, paste, and we don't rinse and repeat the things we do. We have more people now. We've now increased the complexity of what we're going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So, how we, and I gave the example, when figuring it out, I gave the example. So when we started Wooting, like 8 years ago, we had no idea how to make a keyboard, let alone how to do the whole everything around it. And along the way, we go deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole, figuring it out. And every year we've been, getting better and smarter and figuring it out ourselves, and not relying on, good or bad, but not relying on an external supplier to give us all the answers and immediately provide the solutions. So let's say this is also the reason why we're able to have a 6HE, and why all those other companies are just cookie cutters copied from the other ones, right? Like it's all the same stuff, and they're trying to catch up with it, because we've been just doing this for quite a while, and every year we just try to do better and try to kind of figure out stuff ourselves, and that
for
also means
for the good and bad, right? Because sometimes we go on a trail and it leads to nowhere, and it's like, oh yeah, this is why other companies do it. That makes sense. But most of the time, we find a unique way, and we do things our own way.
I mean, it's a stupid. I mean, a very stupid example is where, when we started doing the 8HE and we had to do gasket mount, like that was a huge challenge. Like, we're so afraid. Can you do gasket mount wrong? Like, might we do it? Like, one of the fears is, for example, you do this gasket mounting and then you find out the whole thing can wobble so much up and down that the IC parts that are on the bottom are going to hit the bottom all the time. But you don't know until you make it, So that was a huge fear. And what way are we going to do?
Another product which also led to nothing was the silicone case for the 60. On paper, such an amazing idea, right? You have like a nice flat case that you sandwich your plate and your PCBA in between. You have like a nice silicone case, soft, muted typing experience, epic. And I was like, but it was fun making
Well,
it.
the
Right?
silicone case, the bigger thing was more that it was too high for what I intended it to do. And then we just didn't have the time to further improve it from there. But we could have spent a lot of more time on it. And then, but then it was not worth it anymore. Yeah, we decided to spend time on the 80. Yeah. I don't. There was a question, as a founder, I do actually use a 60HE.
I use two at the same time, but who am I?
But actually, I have been using the 80HE for at least for the last month. It's just over this last week or so, I've swapped to this because I need to test it. So that's why it's 60 now. Otherwise, I'd be using my 80.
After, in the early days and still, with the 8HE, a lot of samples going around, making its rounds. So we send stuff to Simon for testing, to Jeroen, to me, and then I send it to Sander, right? And currently I don't have anything 8HE related. Like I only have like a case that we're not using anymore without a PCBA and whatever. It's all, I don't have anything. It's all shipped away, and when I need to look at it, it's coming again. And at some point we have like a DVT, right? A DVT design validation test, or even pre-DVT. It's like, hey, Erik, check this out, And this is what happened with the 6HE, right? So here's like a pre-DVT prototype with like still the AVR chip, 6HE in this case. And the worst part is the stabilizers, we just ruined them, so the whole plate is ruined and they sound horrible. And yeah, I still use this and it's very crappy. But a few weeks ago I got sent this by Calder for testing something, and this is now my daily driver. It's like a fresh out of the box 6HE with something unique in it, but this is such an improvement. It's like finally I have an ARM keyboard and a nice plate with nice stock stabilizers, and that's why my looped 6HE is like dusting somewhere, and this is like my daily driver now. Until I get an 8HE, then I'm going to throw everything out.
Do you have an 80 next to you, Erik? Do you have an 80 next to you?
I only have like a old transparent case, empty, close by. I can show it, but it's...
Oh, wait. I just remembered I might have it in my bag. So I cleaned up the room. Oh, right when I needed the camera. It's my camera overheating. I don't have the separate charger with me at the moment.
I don't think I should show the transparent case. Should I call this at a risk? Does it include something that it shouldn't show? I think I could show this.
I got an 80 here.
Really? Well, I only have this case without anything. This is my 80HE. Have fun typing on this, Erik. Have fun testing the product. And your camera died again.
You want to see it with a stock 60, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have the... I need to... Let's see if the camera...
Oh, another keyboard I use quite often, but only when I'm on a... when I know like when I'm on a design spree. So I've made some pictures of the Alumaze new one and the wrist rest, and still need to Photoshop them a little bit. If I do a lot of heavy design work or website stuff, I always hook up my Wooting to Lacquer Edition, because I really need that numpad, and I just design away quickly. So yeah, so besides the 6HE that I use most often for some work stuff, I swap out to the Lacquer Edition.
You have to wait until my camera cools down a bit, then I can show the comparison, then we can wrap it up. Yeah, I need to put in that separate charger thing, but I thought it could last for an hour stream, but I was wrong.
Too bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Colors on black. I think it's also a nice time to close it down, right? Sort of. Do we have like 3 more questions we can answer?
Yeah. I just want to show that case comparison.
Okay. So. Then let's do 3 questions in the meantime.
All right.
Erik showed us real nice how he used numpads. That's true. Like this. You know, I used to an internship at a container trucking center, like a how do you say it, like a container hub where a lot of containers, like these freight containers went through. They came in with a train and they got stored there, and then they went on a truck and gone wherever over the world, right? And most of my work was like, okay, checking these numbers. So a container number is like, I think like 3 or 4 characters, like letters, alpha characters, and then it's like a string of 12 to 16 numbers depending on the container. And I was like so fast with the numbers, like, oh, a number like done. Super fast. I'm still super fast with a numpad.
I have this feeling a lot of people in logistics working at that kind of job are fast with numpad.
Yeah,
but
right?
you know what's funny? Why are they copying information from one to the other with a fucking numpad?
That's true. So this, right? This is a fun story. Before we going into the honest questions, right? There was this woman at my internship, and she worked there for I think already like 10 or 15 years, and I assume her age was like 45ish, and this is like we're talking 15 years back in time, right? And what she had to do, she had to sort of double check if certain containers got checked in correctly. So you know what she did? She printed out like a whole big fat Excel sheet with all these numbers. Then she got like an email with a number on her thing, and then she just went like through the list. Totally unsorted, right? This list is like not sorted on whatever number. She just like went through it. Okay, done. And her list is like 5, 6, 8,000 containers, right? So it would take her, I think, like a whole afternoon to search like 8 containers. And I told her like, hey, you have this in Excel, right? Yeah, sure. Press Ctrl F, type in this number, here it is. And she was like, holy shit.
Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, for real.
This is the logistics world for you guys.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah,
logistics,
yes.
yes.
Yeah, but this is like, I guess, like sure
the whole world relies on these kind of systems.
No, but sure, in the 90s or 80s, you maybe printed out a list and you checked this out, right? Maybe in the 70s, and then she came on board, and the one who did this work before her said like, oh, you need to print out this list and check these numbers, and then she just does it because she doesn't know how computers work, I guess, and nobody cares, right? That she just does this whole inefficient thing. Okay, we have called up fast.
Yes.
Let's go.
So I'm trying to hold it accurately. You see this? I don't have the keycaps on this 60 case.
And the other one is way too heavy. Properly.
Is it too dark?
Yeah, it's a bit dark. Oh, here we go. Oh, this is better.
There we go. Yeah. I think I got it. Yeah, I think I got it. Yeah. This is the difference.
Nice.
Of course, you don't like. I didn't include the clip here, of course, on the side. This is extra the 60, so. Yeah.
Good.
This one, see. Yeah. There we go.
Okay. Okay. Good. Let's go through the last 3 questions real quick. What happened to Calder's camera? Nothing. It's back. Okay. Next question. Oh, this one. Now for the 60 plus module, which do you think sounds better, the silicone or foam between the PC plate? This is interesting because I think it's a little bit different. It's not what you like, not what sounds better, it's what you like better. So I would say try both and see what you like the most. Me personally, I prefer the silicone because it sort of balances out the sounds, and for me, the pollen foam, it sort of deepens it a little bit more. I think that's how I perceive it.
I read this article that about if you want to do soundproofing a room, you need to differentiate between sound absorbing and sound. What was it again? Proof and not proofing.
Okay, there's going to be a long 3 questions, so strap in.
No. So wait. Let's just call it blocking because I forgot what the word was. Okay, let's just call it sound absorbing and sound blocking. Okay. the basic rule of thumb is that the difference is with sound absorbing material, it means that sound cannot reflect on the material, and the material actually reflect. I mean, like bounce off the material, right? And the material in that way, quote unquote, absorbs the sound, right? Which are translated in shock waves, right? Vibrations in the air, captured, it's absorbed. Okay.
Deformed, I
Sound
think
blocking,
is.
however, the sound blocking prevents sound penetrating through the material. It doesn't mean it will stop it from echoing back. It doesn't absorb it, but it does instead. It prevents it from penetrating through the material. So if you take something like, and it's not sound diffusing, it's a different word. Yeah, please give it to me. So if you take silicone, for example, this is a sound blocking material. If you take the pour-on foam, this is a sound absorbing material. And every material will have a different level of absorption and blocking. But when
So what happens then in according to your theory? So you have like the silicone that blocks the sound. So is it like the sound that got laid on top of it? Most of it is getting reflected back up, and it doesn't gets absorbed, and it doesn't like deforms, but it's like reflected back up. Is that what you're saying? Like most of it?
sound
With
damp,
the silicone?
yeah, kind of, yeah. But
Okay.
sound dampening, that was the word. Yeah, sound dampening. Kind of, yes. Well, it's a complicated. That's why it's so complicated, because and you can find the biggest difference. Okay, so first of all, most of the noise produced by the keyboard comes from the switch, right? So the second most, let's say, quote unquote, so what no, it comes from the switch, and then the second most noisy thing is the vibrations throughout the keyboard, right? And those two events create the sound. Okay, sorry, no, those two events create noise, and depending on how the case is built, what kind of materials are used, it will create the sound, right? Funny enough, though, switch is on top of the keyboard, so no matter what you do underneath the keyboard, you can't fix a bad sounding switch with it. That's just the basic, right?
You can avoid pressing it. Just use your mouse more often, right? Get like the Windows keyboard on your
Well,
screen and click away.
well, so at least what you can prevent is, okay, and this is the part, if you don't have any materials inside the case, what happens then is you get sound is going to go into the case, and it's going to bounce everywhere and create even, it will change frequency and create more noise, and you name it. It's like a guitar, right? You have the strings and you have like a big hollow area underneath to amplify the sound. Well, that happens also in a keyboard case. So by basically filling up the material with sound absorbing material, for example, you at least prevent it from bouncing around and creating all kinds of different noises all of a sudden, right? So it's going to hone in a bit more. It's going to tone down different frequencies because it's going to absorb those frequencies. It doesn't necessarily absorb all frequencies, right? However, if you use something like silicone or a more dense material, let's say, which is not porous, then you're starting to do sound absorption. And what that means is that it will more increasingly mute the keyboard, and all frequencies will kind of lower down, maybe. And this is the part I'm telling you. It's what makes it complicated. There are definitely certain frequencies that get toned out more than others. And that's kind of where the difference becomes. So in general, that's why with the PC upgrade kit, it's also with the silicone in general, you mute the keyboard a bit more. With the pour-on one, you create a slightly different sound profile. But yeah, it's so incredibly difficult.
Bottom line is
Yeah,
try it out, see what you prefer, and then go for that. Or chase a certain dragon, right? And chase that certain sound you like, and prove different things for your keyboard. That's
yeah.
yeah.
Well, this is why that's why I was like, you can't design a keyboard expecting it to sound a certain way. It's more like you design the keyboard and then you're trying to kind of figure out, okay, how can I direct the sound in the direction I want it to go?
No,
But
you're wrong there. You can't design a keyboard for a certain sound in a mass production environment. You can do it on low skills, I think. Low skill quantity.
but the way you do it is by modding until you get the thing you want.
Sure.
But then the biggest change you can make is the switches. Like I said again, the switches are going to have a really big influence. Okay, and the switches includes lubricating switches or not, right? But the switches have one of the biggest impacts on the sound of the keyboard, and the rest is nuances. And you're always better off to just, even if it's absorption material or if it's Jesus Christ, now I'm getting tired. Dampening material, right?
I'm the one yawning.
Yeah, I know. It affected me already. If it's either one of the two, it's always going to be better to just like mute down the whole noise that other elements create than the switch. It's always going to in most cases, it will have a positive effect. And that is the debatable part, right? Some people do like it to be a bit more loud, more higher frequency pitches, so it feels a little bit, it sounds almost like a typewriter. Others like it a bit more like foggy, if you feel like as if pop 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 kind of sound. And other people like this like very clean, sharp, marbly sound, right? So it's
creamy. Okay, let's run it down. Calder's getting tired, needs to go to bed. I'm gonna answer one more question or just one more remark from Deconstructed. No, Deconsecrated. I've always wanted a magnetic keyboard, but you were always OOS. That's like out of stock, you know. It's a logistical term. OOS, you wouldn't know. But when they're back in stock, you announced the ATHE keyboard. So now I have to wait even more. And, you know, then you're going to wait until the 8HE because you're probably not going to pre-order it. Otherwise, you would have already, you know, purchased a 6HE. And then it takes a few years before the 8HE is in stock, similar to the 6HE. And then it's like, oh, finally, I'm going to get the 8HE because it's in stock. And then we have a different keyboard. It's like, oh, no, this will always be a new thing on the horizon. And I would just say, like, if you want to get a magnet keyboard, just get the 6HE Plus. That's pretty amazing. And if you really can't live with the dedicated arrow keys and Afro keys, then in a few months' time, just purchase an 8HE as well. I think Mark answered this fantastically. Good luck. And I wish everybody a happy weekend. Look forward to the next updates because in the next 2 weeks we have more.
Hold on, this one I can't I just can't let it sit. It sucks that I have to open the app to choose my profile after every restart. Dude.
Oh my god! Oh fuck!
No, dude! Oh my gosh!
God. Okay, so
6HE quick start guide. No, 6HE quick start guide.
Okay.
Look for the profile. Look for the profile hotkeys. Oh gosh!
You can swap between your last and profile and your digital profile with function enter, function return by default, and I think it's like I don't know what the default is, but there's a quick start guide online. There's like a QR code in the box, or you can go to the help articles, find it. Right? It's you don't need to open an app. You can do everything on the keyboard.
Yeah.
Sander did as well, right? Sander working for Wooting, he did this for years. Always wanted to swap profiles.
I don't know if Sander actually has. There's probably a video on YouTube about profiles. Probably also sharing about profile swapping and having hotkeys. There must be, right? If not, you can also remap the keys on the keyboard. And now I'm mentioning it, and the guy is probably gone. I saw their comment about caps lock, right? There is in the remap a special button called, I think it's called FN lock or key lock. No, key lock, I think. What you do is in your FN layer 1, you map the key lock key on caps lock. And then when you're in your main layer and you want to disable caps lock, all you need to do is press FN caps lock and it will disable your caps lock key. And the way it works,
magic.
Yeah. So wherever you put fn lock onto the, wherever you put fn lock in one of the function rows, wherever you put the fn lock key in the function row, it will disable and that key in the main layer once activated. Yeah, that is a special one. But you know what it is? We have these kind of things, but it's so difficult to communicate and let everybody be aware and know about it. But we actually do solve these kind of things. So, okay, yes.